Welcome. Yes, of course. Yes, take a seat. You've come here because you have questions. That's nothing special. Everybody comes here to ask questions. What questions do you have for me? I see. Well, I'm afraid the cards don't answer questions so specific, but we can give you an impression, perhaps, of that of which you seek. First, I'd like to try and read your aura. Difficult. Hard to read. Perhaps. Yes, steel in colour. Closed. Show me your hand. Too perfect. Are you a replicant? Of course not. We're all subject to the same fates. It just applies a certain background to the reading that you might be given. I think, given your type of aura, perhaps we should turn to oracle cards rather than the tarot. Oracle cards, they are very similar to the tarot. They stand for different things and they have more wide sense of interpretation. There are some tarot in the oracles, but mostly they're unique and are specific to situations. Let me see here. First I must just alert you to the following. You've read this, you agree to the terms. Right, let us see what the oracle has for you first. The scientist. Interesting. Experimentation. Discovery. Enlightenment. Sometimes unintended consequences. And monomania. Notice how the scientist is almost entirely and very certainly intensely focused upon his experiment. Yes, that focus can be remarkably useful at achieving one's aims and goals, but it can also be quite dangerous. His creation looks like it's staring back at him. I mean, that, of course, our society is driven by scientific discovery, but we must be aware of those unintended consequences. For example, the replicant rebellion. No offense. But yes, it's an interesting card. You are on the verge of discovering something remarkably significant. Yes. Make sure, though, when you discover it, you will do so both with impartial eyes, but also with your heart. You have to try to understand the emotional ramifications of this discovery. There may be major repercussions from this knowledge that you're about to gain. And you have to ground yourself with regard to that. Make no mistake. This card is a warning. It's not a card for celebration. Let us see what other cards we have to see how they fit together. The jazz singer. I heard she sang a good song. I heard she had a style. So I went down to see her and listened for a while. Alluring, melancholy, self-reflection. The jazz singer sees the world for what it is. Not just through some rosy-tinted glasses. She sees the beauty, the sound, the music, the entertainment, the people, but she also sees the drunken nature, the smoke, the unsavory elements to life. This is a card of clarity. It also suggests the opposite of the warning that you had with the scientist. Strange. Strange, because the jazz singer can see both the good and the bad, and look at things in a very holistic sense. It stands for intuitive knowledge, and intuitive knowledge is the best type of knowledge that there is. So this, balanced with the warning of the science, is intriguing. For sure intriguing. You can also see that the jazz singer is helpful at bringing someone to peace. There's a certain element of relaxation and melancholic surrender to the moment. Mindfulness, if you will. For sure. Let's see what other cards you have in store. The Magician. Knowledge. Order. Self-communication. In times before these times, knowledge was held on great swathes of paper. Books with hardbacks that contained specific subjects. And before that, scrolls in great libraries which held all the thoughts and all the experiences of humanity. Of course, much of this has been lost, even with the transfer from the physical to the digital. Much history has been lost, but the magician is able to tap into both ancient knowledge and our futuristic understandings of things. Some would say that writing was the single most important discovery of humanity. The ability to pass on experiences from one generation to another. Yes. In fact, it was held in great esteem as a profession to be able to purvey such things. Not even just to write things like that, but to maintain, purvey, and allow people access to knowledge. Knowledge should be shared. So whatever this discovery of yours is, you should most certainly share it. No one should be denied the opportunity to learn. The aim of all humanity should be to teach those that precede them and set them in a course that is enhanced and more impressive than their own. There was an old saying that was, "It is a poor apprentice who does not surpass its master." And I think whatever knowledge you are going to come to, it must be shared wide and far, and it must not be dependent upon you for too long. Of course, it can also mean a thirst for knowledge. Perhaps there's something you're trying to learn that you've been putting off. Now is the time to capture that. Because a well-rounded mind can accomplish anything. Let's see what else we have. The old sheriff. Grizzled. Years of experience. Cynicism, but with a underlying sense of what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. This is no city for the old or for the young. This is a harsh and cruel city. But you already know that. The sheriff represents hard-won experience. Yes. It's interesting because the cynicism element of the sheriff, cynicism, the worst cynicism is often reserved for ourselves. Have you ever had a memory where you look upon it and think, I can't believe I did that? It could be a very distant memory as well, and yet still that stings. But how we should be framing this is differently. No, we should be looking at this and realizing how much we have grown since then. That's why we're able to see the flaws in our previous and older behaviors. So experience comes with cynicism, but it should come with a sense of celebration for the growth that we've seen. Good memories should also be enjoyed. We should reflect on those more than we reflect on our failures. And you can learn from both. But I think, finally, you must remember that life isn't about experiencing as many highs as you can, or sharing as many lows as you can. Life's about balance. But balance by extremity is not necessarily good enough. Incredibly positive events do cancel out incredibly negative events. But if that's all we are, and if we take these extremes as our most memorable and worthwhile echoes of our past and of our future, then it creates a terrible inner turmoil and conflict. There was an ancient concept of mindfulness, being in a moment, losing oneself in a moment, feeling and you can do it with me now, feeling the air on your face, hearing the little sounds around you, feeling the weight of your feet, and the weight of your arms, and just anything else that you might be experiencing in this moment. Allowing your emotions to wash across you. There is also the opposite of mindfulness, which is to try to experience nothing, or at least try to accomplish nothing. Have yourself in a situation where you meld with your surroundings and you meld with your thoughts. There was a concept of becoming lost in a forest, drinking trees, being within nature and just allowing yourself to be part of nature. So try not to focus on the incredibly high and low nature of experience. True focus should come on the in-between. It can be where we're most happy. Your cards have been very focused on knowledge and insight. Why is that? What does this mean to you? And is this a recent thing? Let us see what other cards you might have. The Port. The Port is adventure, longing, new beginnings, and old farewells. The Port doesn't necessarily mean physical travel. No, more often than not, it is emotional in its nature. In fact, some of the most well-travelled people I've ever met never stepped too far from home. A few miles, perhaps. The Port, now, if it wasn't abundantly clear already, we can see from the series of cards how they link together. You are destined for a great adventure. Perhaps that's why your aura was so silver, steeling yourself for adventure. All you need to do now is step into that unknown, start that new beginning. The Port is firmly focused on the positives of travel, the experiences and the growth. It's very rare that the Port suggests catastrophic change or unwelcome change. So, try to interpret it in that sense. In fact, there are several other cards which look to predict uncertain change and negative change. The Port isn't one of them. The Port advises you to buy a ticket, to leave, to re-examine whatever route that you're looking at, and correct any course movements that might be needed. Interesting. Let's see what else we can find here. Oh, how quaint. Yet another traditional one. The moon. Overall, the moon suggests a link between one's emotional state and one's physical state is in great balance. But you need to take time to reflect on where you are. Perhaps you need to take time. If it had came earlier in your reading, I would have suggested you need to take time to reflect before your great journey. But this suggests to me that at the end of this journey, or throughout this journey, you need to take time to reflect, to understand. I don't know who said it, but I remember hearing once, the purpose of travel is not to go to foreign lands, it's to return and to be a foreigner in your own land. I always thought that was an eloquent way of putting it. Yes. So the moon, it captures the positive momentum of your life, this balance with the emotional. It tells you to carefully map out your future. And most of all, it takes you to a place by a river of contemplation that tells you you should just breathe. Take time for yourself. Remember that you are enough. I think your reading is very fascinating and very unique. It shows of a person who is in balance and yet can move to a more balanced state. It shows a person who is adventurous and ready for adventure. And it shows a person who is destined to very great things. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe a traditional tarot reading would benefit you as well. No, I don't have the readiness to give you that now, but I would love it if you could return and we could speak more. Perhaps in a week's time. Perhaps things might become more clear then. If you could bring with yourself bring to me some of your experiences during that time that might align with the things we've said today. Well, I'm glad. And I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care and be careful out there.